entitled Mother Demands Table or Free Steak at a fully booked restaurant. So this happened around Christmas last year, whilst me and my husband were on holiday at a Hard Rock hotel in Tenerife. It's slightly long, although I have shortened the argument, and I apologize in advance for any formatting issues. As with most resorts, meals are either in the buffet restaurant or in a themed a la carte that you have to pre-book. I've found it to be pretty standard practice that you have to book these. We were clearly told upon checking in, and all the information across the hotel mentioned this fact. One of the evenings we'd headed to our restaurant for our booking, around 6 p.m., and was waiting in a small queue. After about 5 minutes, EM comes in with 2 young children straight from the pool. She goes straight to the check-in desk and asks for a table for the evening. Waitress, I'm sorry, have you booked a table? EM, no. I'd like a table for tonight for 6 people, before 8 p.m. Waitress, I'm sorry. We're fully booked before then. There is only space at 9:15. EM, what do you mean you're fully booked? Waitress, the a la cartes all require pre-booking and they are very popular. Unfortunately, we're already full. EM huffs loudly, I don't believe this. I wasn't told you have to book in advance. My children need to be fed. You need to get me a table. Waitress, I'm so sorry, you should have been informed at check-in. We really don't have any space for a booking for 6 people. There is the buffet which is open all evening which will be able to accommodate you. EM progressively raising her voice, no. This isn't acceptable. My children have to have a proper cooked meal and they have to eat before 8 p.m. This repeated for a couple of minutes before EM demanded to speak to the manager. The waitress apologized again and goes to get the manager. Meanwhile, EM turns to those of us in the queue of people who did book a table, and starts complaining about how much of a joke this all is, and she can't believe how she is being treated. I don't think she spotted that all of us in the queue were laughing at her, or that her children were clearly bored and had started to get upset. The manager arrives and asks EM how they can help, to which EM repeats the same, adding, EM, I am a paying customer. My children must have a properly cooked meal and this is what they wanted. You should move another customer or create space for us. Manager, I'm sorry, but this is simply not possible. I'll raise the issue with you not being informed of the booking process as you should have been informed. However, we are fully booked and we can't accommodate any other customers before 8 p.m. EM, in that case I'd like the food to go. Can you cook us 6 steaks and we'll have them in our room? These should also be free for our inconvenience. Manager, I'm sorry, that is not something we're allowed to do. All food must be consumed in the restaurant. EM, this is a joke now. You're actually going to make my children starve. Do you know how much we're paying to stay here? We're paying your wages. Manager, starting to get a little irritated, I am really sorry, but there's nothing we can do. You can raise a complaint with some sort of customer relations, but we have a queue forming of booked customers that we really need to see to. EM tries to continue the argument for some time, repeating her demand for free steak, but her partner turned up at the same time the manager mentioned contacting security, so she was quickly, and not quietly, dispersed. I don't recall seeing EM again the rest of the holiday, but we received a spectacular service and a free drink, as we apologized to the waitress on behalf of our fellow Brits' behavior. An EM showdown in the freezer section. So first off, this happened to me, but it was a very long time ago, so I don't remember most of the dialogue verbatim. Cast, me is me, my mother is M, crazy lady is EM, her poor kid is PK. It was a beautiful Friday in the summer, at about 6 p.m. My mother and I, about 7 at the time, were planning on going to the drive-in theater that night, so we were stopping off at the local grocery store to pick up some snacks. While there, M ran into a work friend of hers, so they were chatting at one end of the aisle of frozen foods. M told me to pick out a frozen pizza for dinner while she talked, so I wandered over to check out what they had. From the other end of the aisle came a woman slightly older than M, so about 30. She was huffing and wore a huge frown. Enter EM. Behind her was a kid younger than I was, maybe 5, playing with some kind of toy, not really paying any attention to what was going on. EM comes over and glares at me. I figure she wants to look at the freezer where I am, so I move further away. For various reasons, I'm not comfortable around people and don't like to be touched, even accidentally, so I wanted to keep as far from her as I could and still be able to see into the freezers. EM continues to glare at me, but then begin to make a humping sound. EM, what are you doing here? You're in my way. Your parents should keep you on a leash. She really did say the leash part. It's stuck in my head even all these years later. Me, I'm sorry. Mother wants me to pick dinner. I'll move. It's rude to get in the way. I need to get food for my baby. Get out of my way. At this point, I backed up about halfway down the aisle and started looking at the vegetables, hoping to just kill time until she left. My mother was still talking to her friend at the other end of the aisle and didn't notice anything that was going on. Unfortunately, decided that she needed vegetables, too, and came right over to where I was. I told you to move. You need to listen when grown-ups talk. Didn't your parents teach you manners? I'm sorry. Again, not wanting to get in her way, I moved off, this time back to the pizza. I decided to just grab something fast and then go back to my mother. I looked for the cheese pizza, reached out to open the freezer door. These were the big, tall ones with a handle on the left that swing out and open to one side, and then screamed. Had come right back around on the left side of me and opened the freezer door on that side fast, right after I reached for my freezer door. My fingers were pinched between her open door and my closed door. I can still remember her just staring at me, holding open her door, while I'm trying to pull my hand out. There was no expression on her face. Came running from the other end of the aisle. What did you do to her? She wouldn't get out of the way. Slowly closed her door and walked away. Turned back to me to check me out. I wasn't crying anymore and told her what happened. She was furious. At this point, the store manager had heard me scream and come over to check things out, too. Sadly, he hadn't seen and PK and couldn't find them in the store. She and PK just walked out the door, nobody caught her. Ended up crushing the top knuckle on the middle finger of my left hand. And the worst part, we didn't get to go to the drive-in. Entitled Mother and Kid Try to Steal My Cat from My Backyard. Turns out EM's trying to steal a pet from my block for her kid. No joke. This literally happened and my cats are now locked inside. On mobile. To make a long story short, my cats were lead trained to stay in the backyard, so I can let them outside when they're energized. I check on them every 5 minutes and they have stacked outdoor furniture they love to hide in. One cat is very skittish around strangers, and she'll hide, while the other will only bolt if he's wary or energized. Both cats have I'm tolerating you relationship, so when I looked to check on them, I was startled to see them both in a corner together. Then I saw the kid and her mother cornering them. I was pretty pissed and rushed out and started yelling at them, scaring the mom and her kid pretty badly. Of course, when my cats saw the open door, they rushed to it and the mom tried to grab them. The female cat lashed out and clawed her hand good, making the EM yell and recoil, letting my cats escape inside. The EK started crying because the pretty kitties got away and she wanted a kitty cat now. EM yelled at me that she was going to report me for assault, while I yelled from my back door that I was already on the phone with 911 reporting her for trespassing and attempted cat theft. She screamed at me in rage, before grabbing her wailing kid and storming out of my yard. I had actually dialed 911 and the dispatcher heard the exchange, and assured me that if the EM did try to report me it wouldn't work because she was in the wrong. About 10 minutes later cops pulled up and I gave my statement, descriptions, and pointed which direction EM and EK had fled. The cops wrote it all down, before one told me that I wasn't the first to call from this area. Apparently the EM had been attempting to lure out other pets her kid wanted. The cops were just trying to figure out who she was. No one, including me, recognized her or her kid, and she was getting more brazen. My yard was actually the first they had trespassed into. My cats are now being locked indoors for the foreseeable future, and I've warned a few of my neighbors who I know have pets about this in case they didn't know. This entire situation is honestly just bull, as there have already been incidents involving getting pets because of the global situation. But stealing one from their loving family is a low all on its own. Edit, wow. This, and my phone, just blew up overnight. Thanks for all the support everyone. To note, the yard is fenced, but it's a 5-foot-high wooden one, so she had to be staking out my yard. And given I tend to take baby boy on walks on his leash. Oh dear. Both cats are also microchipped. And yes, there is now a baseball bat by the back door, but the cats are staying in still. Better to be safe than sorry. Thank you all. Oh, and for the cat tags, just check out my profile. I've got quite a few pictures of them.